All right, I think we can go ahead and get started. So again, welcome to the second annual TJ information session. For introductions, my name is Malaika Adai. I'm from the class of 2007. And in terms of my role in TJAG, I am the chair for our Culture of Inclusivity and Responsibility Committee. So making sure that everyone at TJ, as they get admitted and as they start their 4 years there, feels welcome, that they have equitable experiences during their time at TJ. For this event, we are taking the time this afternoon to give some background on the TJ admissions process, which the first deadline is quickly approaching. We know there's already a lot of good information out there that's been shared by Fairfax County, as well as county representatives from the other feeder schools that go into TJ. So we don't plan to, reinvent the wheel or to give any different messaging in this event, but we do plan to highlight all of the great materials that are out there in terms of the formal admissions process. In addition, we have alums like me, as well as current students who will be joining to also give people a better idea of what life is like at TJ as they go through the admissions process and start to prepare, hopefully, for attending the school in the next fall. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Makia to give an additional introduction before we jump into the materials and agenda for this session.
Thank you so much, Malaika. I really appreciate all of your hard work in pulling this event together for the Northern Virginia community that is eligible for admissions to TJ. As many of you know, TJ is one of the gems of Virginia's education system. And our goal in TJAG is really just to ensure that all of those eligible for admissions at TJ are aware of deadlines and other resources that can assist them in their process to either apply to TJ or once they're accepted to navigate the TJ experience. TJ Alumni Action Group was actually founded last year in 2020, and we are a 501c4 organized to ensure that education opportunities in Northern Virginia are accessible, that they are inclusive, and that we are advocating for innovative STEM education programs throughout the Commonwealth of Virginia to develop well-rounded and ethical 21st century leaders. We are passionate alumni who believe that everyone wins when equity wins. And we really want to ensure that not just TJ students, but that TJ families also feel supported before, during, and after they have been accepted to TJ as a part of our mission. If there is any other issues, questions we can answer throughout your educational journey within this process, or if you choose to navigate another process for pursuit of your STEM education experience, we would love to partner with you. We want to be a resource and a support system for you. So we've gathered all of these professionals and former TJ students, current TJ students here today to ensure that any questions that you may have, any concerns that you may have, that you have the opportunity to air those and get answers to your questions. As always, TJ Admissions is the official resource for the admissions process. So any questions you have about process, deadlines, please direct those questions to TJ Admissions. But if you have questions about the experience and any other kind of experiential questions, feel free to direct those to us. And if we don't have a current student contact, we can get you in touch with the administration. So with that, I will turn it over to Jorge to introduce some of the personnel that we have available on this call and to share some of the insights on the TJ experience. Thanks, Jorge.
Thank you so much, Makia. It's a pleasure to be here again. I am the Applicant Engagement Chair for the TJ Alumni Action Group, also a TJ alumni and a Fairfax County parent in the area. And it's my pleasure to welcome Rebecca Small, Advanced Academics Facilitator for Pepsi County Public Schools, Ms. Karima Wesselhoff, Advanced Academics for Prince William County Schools, and we'll welcome later on down the student Nadia Williams, class of 2025, a Prince William County student as well. I'm first going to play this video here, which is a video that was made by students at TJ as to why choose TJ. So let's go ahead and play it, please. Thank you. So if that video doesn't get you excited, I don't know what will. It gets me excited just to want to go back to high school. Such a great video. It shows a lot of wonderful things at TJ. We'll kind of briefly discuss in detail here. So why TJ? TJ is a wonderful institution, one of the 18 governor schools at that Virginia offers its population. I just want to highlight that, one of the things that people don't know about TJ is that it has a lot of sports also. So kids think that, oh, it's just a science and technological high school. That's what I'm going there for. But actually it's got, as you can see in the screen there, fall sports, golf, football, volleyball, field hockey, cross country, cheerleading. And actually this particular past year in October 2021, the Washington Post had a write-up about the football team and how it was doing really well. The winter season's coming up. They got basketball, wrestling. I did wrestling myself back in the day, gymnastics, women dive, indoor track. And they've had a lot of athletes. Actually, an Olympian swimmer is currently a TJ graduate. In the spring, we got volleyball, field hockey, golf, soccer, football, baseball, softball, lacrosse, tennis, and outdoor track. And apart from that, there's 185 different clubs. Many of them are student created that are offered in the 8th period activities. As you progress through the academic schedule at TJ, one of the things that it'll build up towards is in senior year, they got these senior tech labs. And you have an opportunity to do more in-depth research, get work experience, research experience in astronomy and things such as marine biology, oceanography, neuroscience, microelectronics. Like you can do a lot of great things. Back in the day when I did it, I did the computer automated design CAD lab. Languages wise, you got Chinese, French, German, Japanese, Latin, Russian, and Spanish. All wonderful opportunities that are available for you at TJ. So you're really not missing out to apply to TJ, and you're not missing out to be able to get to TJ. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide, please. All right, so TJ offers an advanced diploma, 26 credit. And, as you can see there, it also offers a lot of AP or advanced placement courses and also post-advanced placement courses. And one thing to note with that is that Fairfax County Schools, their GPA policy is that when you take one of those classes, the AP class, you get an additional 1.0 bump on your GPA as well. So that's also possible there. And as you can see right there, we also have a list of the most likely attended colleges for the class of 2020 with a 99% college acceptance rate. It really provides a lot of exposure and definitely like a forward path progress towards higher education. So you have a lot of kids who go to UVA, William & Mary, George Mason. The colleges, as you can see, are listed there in the number and order of the number of admitted students. And, you know, for me, I'm a Wahoo myself. I went to UVA, so I'm happy to see UVA there represented the #1 spot. And it's a great institution in the state of Virginia. But I'll tell you, with TJAG, we did a set of HBCU virtual tour in the spring. And I was really impressed with the number of those universities, in particular with Virginia State University. So just a little plug for them. Let's go to the next slide, please. So the key thing now is, what are the requirements? So the #1 thing to know is that TJ is a governor's school and it's a public school. So that's a really key thing. It's not a school that you have to pay additional amounts for. It's not a school that is limited. It's actually a school that is open for students who live and reside in the localities that I'm about to list. Arlington County, Loudoun County, Prince William County, Fairfax County, the city of Falls Church, and the city of Fairfax. Now, you don't even have to be a public school student in those counties. You could be a private student. You could be a homeschooled student. As long as you reside in those counties, you have an opportunity to meet the eligibility of the residency requirement. So that's the first thing. There is no application fee any longer. So do not worry about the cost to apply. Just give it a try, see if you meet the additional requirements. Additional requirements are, you must have a 3.5 cumulative core grade point average, which takes into account your core classes in the 7th grade and the first quarter of your 8th grade. The core classes being math, science, English, history class. Those are the core classes, and that's where the GPA is coming from. Now, if you've done really well in your language course or in your art class, that's great, but that's not part of that 3.5 cumulative GPA. So again, the residency requirement, the GPA requirement, and then you have to go and actually apply, right? You got to do the application. Additionally, you have to have Algebra 1 honors. And if you're a Fairfax County student, you have to be in additional honors courses as well. One thing I want to note is that over the past year, the admissions they made a specific announcement that the top 1.5% of each middle school population will have a spot in a TJ class. So for example, my local middle school has a class of 600 students. 1.5% of that is 9 students. So that means at least 9 students, as long as people apply, at least 9 students will go from that middle school to TJ. Last year was actually the first time in over 10 years that every middle school in Fairfax County had students represented. Now, as far as other counties, Prince William, Loudoun, that's up to them to how they allocate their slots there. But they do have slots there. Now, when you do the application, what you're also going to have, after you've done the electronic application, you're going to have an in-person portrait of a graduate, set of essays, as well as a problem-solving essay. So there's no more standardized tests. There's no need to worry that you're behind because you haven't been doing standardized tests, academies, things like that. We'll talk about these particular 21st century skills. Are you a collaborator? Are you a communicator? A creative or critical thinker? Are you an ethical or global citizen? Are you goal-oriented and a problem solver? So key thing going to be some essay prompts that they will have to do in person. And those essay prompts, please think about this model: specific tasks or actions that then led to results. That's the methodology you want to use to describe your experience in that short essay format. So rather than say, I'm always a great communicator, very non-specific, very general, try to think of an example where you demonstrated the communication skills and what results it led to. So that's, again, remember the STAR models: specific tasks or actions that led to results, and use that as a framework in terms of how you will express and have your students be able to express these different attributes. The second part of the application that will have, or the problem-solving essay itself, is going to be a math or a science problem. And it's a math or science problem that, it's not necessarily something that they have to feel like they have to answer correctly. the key thing is you have to be able to explain how you are going to reach the answer. And it may not be that you reach the answer, but at least how you're going to be applying your methods of thinking, the knowledge that you already have, maybe what are some things you don't know, and how could you go about ascertaining that information that you don't know so that you can actually resolve whatever that problem is that's presented for you. That is the problem solving essay. This will all be written. Each of these sections will be timed and will be done in person. We'll discuss a little bit about when and what the time frame is for that. Next slide, please. All right, so at this point in time, before we go into further detail, we're definitely, again, the key source to all of this information. You know, us as alumni have taken our time to just comb through the information that is publicly available by Fairfax County Public Schools. And they've actually done a great job of making that information available. We just try to distill it and have the resources ready for you guys. In particular, we're now going to present a video that was made by TJ Admissions that really more thoroughly explains everything, should really provide a lot of the answers to the questions that you may have, but feel free to also put them in the chat if you want us to respond to. But go ahead and play the video, please. Thank you.
Welcome to the Thomas Jefferson High School for Science and Technology fall presentation for the admissions process. I'm Jeremy Sugart, the admissions director, and with me is Linda Sperling, the admissions specialist. Today what we're going to cover in an overview of TJ, as we like to call it, is the admissions process for this year. We're going to speak to the admissions steps for the application and that process of what students and parents and families are going to complete, along with the application components in terms of what we would call the writing components or the student portrait sheet and the problem-solving essay, a selection process, a calendar of events, and answers to any frequently asked questions that we come across. And I'd like to turn it over to Linda to share with us a little bit more about the school and really, you know, kind of starting with the mission statement and what we're really looking toward.
TJ's mission statement has a focus on 3 areas: to provide the students a challenging learning environment, to inspire joy at the prospect of discovery, and to foster a culture of innovation. If you happen to know a student who is at TJ, I believe that you will agree that these students, in fact, reflect these 3 phrases in the mission statement. This map gives you an idea of the location of TJ. It is located off of 495 in Braddock Road in Fairfax County, and it is accessible for all of our 5 participating jurisdictions. It is located just off of the interstate between Braddock and Backlick Roads. What makes TJ different? TJ is a regional governor's school, and what that means is the 5 participating jurisdictions, their school boards of education have in fact voted to allow their students to apply. Those jurisdictions are Arlington, the City of Falls Church, Loudoun County, Prince William County, and of course Fairfax County. Making it a regional governor's school, you don't just walk up and enroll as you would at your base high school. There's an application process, as Jeremy mentioned, and we're going to go through that in detail today. Once you walk in the front door for your 9th grade year, all courses are taught at an honors AP or post-AP level. And the focus of the high school is research-based learning. It begins in 9th grade with a core class called IBET.
We're having a brief technical issue. Thank you guys for your patience.
So for example, on a field trip, you can take this 3-block period, you can go on a field trip other day, 2 days a week. And the whole idea is it allows flexibility and creates a connection.
So as we're resolving this audio technical difficulty, thank you so much for everyone's patience. As you can see, the TJ admissions staff has done a great job of putting together this video. I appreciate everyone's patience in us resolving the technical difficulty. The virtual world, there we go. And let's go
different. TJ is a regional governor's school, and what that means is the 5 participating jurisdictions, their school boards of education have in fact voted to allow their students to apply. Those jurisdictions are Arlington, the City of Falls Church, Loudoun County, Prince William County, and of course Fairfax County. Making it a regional governor's school, you don't just walk up and enroll as you would at your base high school. There's an application process, as Jeremy mentioned, and we're going to go through that in detail today. Once you walk in the front door for your 9th grade year, all courses are taught at an honors AP or post-AP level. And the focus of the high school is research-based learning. Begins in 9th grade with a core class called IBET. IBET is Integrated Biology, English, and Technology. It's a 3-block section of classes that meet every other day, 2 days a week. And the whole idea is it allows flexibility and creates a connectivity between the classes. So for example, on a field trip, you can take this 3-block period, you can go on a field trip, you are not imposing on any of your other core classes. And so it gives you that opportunity. If the biology teacher decides that he or she needs a double block of time for a lab to take place, they have the opportunity and flexibility to do that, unlike at other schools. On the right-hand side of the slide, you will notice some little robots. Those are in fact built during the technology class. You build a circuit board, you design it, and there are competitions that take place between the IBET classes in the spring. As you move through your sophomore and junior years, the research-based learning continues. It is the hallmark of the school. All 4 years it continues. So ultimately, at the end of your junior year, you will make a selection of what research project you would like to pursue for 12th grade. There are, as you can see, labs at the school in place, in person. If you happen to select a topic that doesn't fall into one of those labs, then what may happen is you will have a mentorship program with one of the organizations, companies that work with the school. What's really amazing about the labs is that students actually have an input into the potential of changing a lab. They may go to the administration and say, you know, this lab is not as relevant as it once was, especially in the fast-paced technology world we have today. So they have the opportunity then to have that suggestion reviewed, and in fact, they have replaced labs with more up-to-date. So it truly is an opportunity for students to have input that directly impacts the courses that they're taking.
And Linda, the other thing that I'd like to share with our families out there and our students certainly is that TJ is much more than just the research-based learning. Linda shared a lot of information about the different research labs and kind of the process that students take as they go through their 4 years at the high school. But because it's more than just research learning, it's a full high school curriculum that is offered. So students have fine and performing arts opportunities, they have world language opportunities, they have a number of other elective curriculum course offerings that may be available to them that they choose to go forward with as they set up their own schedule. So they're still going to take English classes and history classes. They'll still take PE. And believe it or not, we still have some SOLs at TJ as well. So, you know, you are still getting a full curriculum high school experience at TJ. But beyond just the academic pieces, there's a lot of other opportunities and experiences that students have while they're at TJ. We have something that's very unique at TJ, and it's called 8th period. TJ functions on an 8-period schedule. Mondays, all actual 7 academic periods meet, And then Tuesday through Friday on a rotational basis, or an A-B schedule is what most people are familiar with, we'll experience the other 8 periods. Now, 8th period itself meets every Wednesday afternoon, and Friday is the last period of the day. What this is an activity period embedded into the school day. We recognize, as Linda shared earlier, that students are coming from potentially great distances in Northern Virginia to attend school at TJ. And they may not have the opportunity to stay after school to be involved in many clubs and activities that you would find at your local high school in your own community. And because of that, we want students to be able to experience those opportunities. Over the years, we've had close to 200 different clubs and activities available to students. And these are not just what we would say is STEM activities. There's any number of different activities that students can participate in. But beyond that, while this happens during the school day, there are also extracurricular activities that are available to students. TJ offers a full complement of the VHSL athletics. So if you're an athlete, you have the opportunity to participate in your athletic competitions like we have in any of the other high schools in Fairfax County. But beyond that, we also have the fine and performing arts. So if you're in the band and you want to be in the marching band, you have that opportunity. If you want to perform on stage, you have the ability to perform in the various stage performances. Really what we're trying to share with you is a little bit about the school and about the background of the school. Is that just because you're choosing to go to a school that has some high academics, has research opportunities, that is unique in this area, you're also not giving up the opportunity to go to a school that provides you with a full high school curriculum and full high school experiences. So, but beyond that, and starting to look a little bit more at what we're talking about, we want to get into kind of what it is that students and what we're looking for from our students as they come through as applicants. What we're looking at is evidence of academic excellence and achievement. We're looking for interest, curiosity, creativity, and STEM. Now, academic achievement is frequently asked, what does that mean? And one of the first places that we start with is how well were you performing in school in 7th and 8th grade? Now, the application is beginning here in the fall, and so we know that you're just beginning your 8th grade year. But looking at 7th grade, we're looking at what was your grades? How well did you do? What classes were you enrolled in? You kind of getting a sense of who you are as a student as we go through. Now, something that's really interesting and we think really helps the students that are applying and the families to understand whether TJ is a place for them is to think about answering these questions. Why would you want to go to a school like TJ? What is it about our school that entices you, that interests you, that you want to be a part of? And really start to think about, what about STEM are you interested in and why? Why TJ? What have you done in the past? What do you want to do in the future? Parents, if you're watching this with your son or daughter today, ask them this question. These are great questions to really consider as you're going into the high school and as you go through this process. Linda, can you share us a little bit more with the audience, the application requirements, the eligibility requirements, and kind of walk the audience through what it is that we're looking for?
Absolutely. We know you're really interested in the application. And the calls we're getting now are, what do I need to be doing to be able to apply starting on the 25th? First of all, you have to be in 8th grade to apply to 9th grade. You reside in a participating school division, which are the 5 divisions we talked about: Arlington, City of Falls Church, Prince William, Loudoun, and Fairfax County. You must be enrolled minimally in Honors Algebra 1 or higher in 8th grade, as well as Honors Science and then 1 additional honors course. We understand that not all of our participating jurisdictions have the same type of honors requirements that we do in Fairfax County. So if your school does not offer honors as they are stated here, your requirement will be to be enrolled in the highest level class for 8th grade in your school. So this would cover our private schools and our other jurisdictional schools. You must have a 3.5 GPA in the core classes. So, and they're unweighted grades. So if you have taken a high school credit course and it is an honors level course, that honors credit will be reflected on your high school transcript, but it is not used in our process. So for 7th grade, you have 4 core courses, potentially 5 if you're taking world language for high school credit. Those are worth 1 full credit point each for a year. For first quarter 8th grade, it's the same, 4 basic core courses and potentially world language. Those would be worth a quarter point in the calculation process. If you have any questions about that, we're able to help you with that, either by providing you an instrument for you to figure it for yourself, or we can help you out. So don't hesitate to reach out to us for that. The actual application is at the website here, www.fcps.edu/TJAdmissions. You will scroll down the page to the box that says Freshman Application Process. And before you get there, you will find these steps for application. Please take the time to read these steps before you click the box for the actual application. There's uniqueness to the application process. For example, it was set up that a student, the applicant, must begin the process. So they complete an initial login process. And what that really means is to complete page 1 of the application. And once they've done that and they've clicked next, then 2 things happen. An email goes to the parent telling them that their student has signed up, and it gives the parent the opportunity to create their own account. And also, your counselor at your school that you're attending, because you have entered that information, you will appear on their applicant list, because they are the ones who will actually verify the math for us in the process. They are our keeper of the math courses. We don't have that information, they do. What we do ask is, please remember that the counselors, this is an additional duty they're taking on. This is not their full-time job. They're helping you as a student, and they're helping us help in this process. So we ask that you give them 24 to 48 hours, which does not include the weekend, because they get the weekends off like we all do. So give them that time frame to validate your math. Once they have verified your math and they save, then again, an automated email will go out and say that the math has been verified, you may complete the application. So both the applicant and the parent must electronically sign the application and then submit the application. Once again, once you've submitted the application, you will get an auto-generated email telling you that the application has been submitted. One thing I will emphasize to you, please make sure that you read these auto-generated emails, because the submission email will have additional information for you about when we will be reaching out to you next. So it's very important that while it will say that this is an auto-generated email from FCPS, please know that these are emails that we have created specifically for you, and they will require information for you to know for additional information.
So Linda, just a question about that, and I know we want to talk about some additional questions that may come up at the end, but how much information, like what are we really asking students to complete in this section?
Thank you, Jeremy, for reminding me of that. For a Fairfax County student, when they log in, the process is more simplified, because our database is pulling information for an FCPS student directly. So an FCPS parent will have very little to complete in an application. Our private school students, homeschool students, those students will create an account, The parent will create an account, and they're going to give us a basic demographic information, address. We collect demographic information from them. You will select a test site because we will be doing in-person testing for our writing administration, so you'll have the opportunity to do that. For students who have accommodations, parents, there is a tab within the application called Additional Forms. If you have a student who has testing accommodations, you will go there and complete that. If you are a private school family, we will need proof of residency documents. That information is located there.
So would you agree that really what the application is just a registration process for us?
It really is. It's our way of knowing how many students we're going to have to make sure that we are prepared to test on January 29th, which is our primary writing administration day. So it is a form, we call it an application, but it's really your registration for testing with us. Okay. So this is the first screen you will see when you log into the application. And you can see it's very simple. It says, I'm a student living in the jurisdiction, or I am the parent guardian. So you will select the appropriate one for you. So for non-FCPS students, notice that you're going to check the box that says you are a non-FCPS student and then create an account. You will receive an email back with your username. So then, once you have your username, will you as a student then complete that initial information, which is page 1 of the application. Once that, you can continue on if you want and complete more information, but you and your parent, the parent will again get their email. You're joined together in this process from that point forward. And that is why both the student and the parent agree in this process. That's why it's required that they both electronically sign. There is a 4-week window for the application. The submission deadline is Friday, November the 19th at 4 p.m. We will tell you that there is a clock built into the system that if you have not submitted everything in a timely manner, you could be in the middle of that page 6 and you're just getting ready and the computer clicks to 4 o'clock. It will not allow you to move forward. So we always encourage our families to please complete the application as soon as you can. Literally, even for a family that has to enter 5 or 6 pages with a few lines on each page, it's not going to take you more than 10 minutes. Once the counselor has verified the math, it is really a very, very quick and speedy process for you. So the main thing is we want to make sure that you don't miss that opportunity to get your application in.
So once you complete your application, you submit that, a couple things are going to happen. A lot of that is background information on our end, but ultimately the next date or the next important event that occurs for you is the administration of the writing components. So we have a combined writing components of the student portrait sheet and the problem-solving essay. Now the student portrait sheet is a series of short answer questions that you'll complete based upon what we're actually using to create these questions is 21st century skills and portrait to graduate attributes. Those types of questions and that information is available. You can look at what this information is really asking, what are those attributes, what are those skills on our website. The additional question or the problem-solving essay is a math or a science problem. And what we're really looking at is your ability to understand and solve whatever unique problem's been presented to you. The idea going forward with all of this is that we're trying to get a better sense of who you are, what you're looking at, why you want to go to TJ, and your abilities to understand and be able to answer these questions as we move forward. Once you've completed your student portrait sheet and problem-solving essay on the January 29th date, or for those handful of students that will be testing on in February, you're really at that point in time, from a student or an applicant standpoint, your part of the process really kind of come to an end. It's now really about what we're doing. And we're going to conduct a holistic review of your full application, which includes your GPA that Linda talked about earlier. We're going to look at your responses to the student portrait sheets. We're going to look at your response to the problem-solving essay. And then we're also going to include what we are calling, or what we refer to as, experience factors. These experience factors are really educational experiences that students have for their academic career. They may be economically disadvantaged, they may be English language learners, they may have special education, as Linda referenced earlier about accommodations, or they may be from our underrepresented schools. All of this combined is really what we're using to determine whether or not you're going to receive an offer of admissions, be placed in a wait pool, or not receive an offer of admissions. So, taking a step further, once we conduct this review, our plan is to release our decisions by the end of April. And part of that is an understanding of how we make our offers. And this is an area where there's a lot of questions. So we have allocated and unallocated seats. Now, our public schools have allocated seats, and this is based upon the number of students in enrollment in 8th grade in each of our public schools. And so what happens is we offer the top students at every school up to their allocated seats. Now, the unallocated seats are remaining, so there's a number of seats that are available, about 100, depending upon how everything works out in terms of our numbers, but those are available to all students. So our private school students, our homeschool students, and even other public school students are eligible to receive an offer through our unallocated seat process. And so the allocations, and I don't know if I mentioned it, is based on a 1.5%. So, and that's a question that has frequently come up for us, and we want to make sure that there's some common understanding about what that really comes down to, and really what that's all about. Ultimately, in terms of our calendar of events, the most important piece is, once our application starts on October 25th at 4 p.m., knowing that you have really 4 weeks to complete your application. Now, it's not quite 4 weeks in terms of the start. There is a minimum application start date, which is on November 17th at 4 p.m. And the reason why we have that minimum date is to allow you as the applicant and parent to complete your portions, but it's also to provide enough time to the school and the counselor at the school to complete their portion, which is the math verification, and have enough time to submit. And so the real important dates at this point in time is really that October 25th through November 19th. Following on is our admissions dates of the essay and the student portrait sheet. Our review process will start shortly after, and then we'll release our decisions. Now, the other thing that I will say is we have a release date where we're talking about April 29th, or at least, towards the end of April. But we have a wait pool process, as we did last year, that will continue on beyond that date. And our wait pool is looking to fill any open and available seats until we reach our 550 total seats for our freshman class. So that's the target of number of students that we're placing at TJ. And as students may decline an offer, we would then turn to the next student on the list and provide them with an opportunity to go to TJ. And that may stretch for a month or a couple months into the summer, but our target is to really complete all of that. Now, Linda, I know that there are a number of questions that we frequently get, and oftentimes people are asking us, can I apply? So, and I know you mentioned this earlier in terms of when we had the map up and we shared. So can you kind of take us back through kind of the residency portion of this again? So that way there's some clarity, because that's frequently a question that we get about our students.
Yes. And we will have families who are perhaps moving into the area. We're getting these calls now, for example. And they're saying, well, we'll be moving here early next year, but my child would like to apply. Well, we are a regional governor's school, but we are first a public school. So these families must meet the residency requirement before anything else. So regretfully, those families would not be eligible. And then we talk about the next alternative, which would be applying for 10th grade. So residency means that the family lives in one of the 5 participating jurisdictions full-time with the student, and the student is attending school here also. And that is because we are a public school without the options of a non-residency situation, which may be the case for a private school.
And so I established residency. I'm a student in a family that lives here. I'm attending school here, public, private, or even homeschool. And I have listened to the presentation as we've described, and I've done a little more research on the school, and I'm like, you know what, this sounds like a school that's for me. I really want to go ahead and move forward with an application. And one of the things that you mentioned early on is the applicant starts the application. Mm-hmm. I just want to make sure that we're clear on that process at the very beginning to start. Can you explain who starts and kind of walk us real quickly through that process again?
Yes. We have parents, and we totally understand that the parents are excited for their student to have this opportunity. There's a reason that the applicant starts the process. It is a process that means that this applicant has an interest in this, and the parent will join them. So the applicant will begin, and then remember, we talked about you will get an email once the applicant has completed that minimum information, and then the parent creates their account. Another thing that we didn't mention is anytime an email goes out, it goes to both the parent and the applicant based upon the email addresses that the applicant entered into the system. So we are not communicating with one without the other. This is a joined process from the very beginning, but it must be started by the applicant.
Great. So I'm an applicant. I start the application. I complete the first page of the application, which is some basic information: my name, an email address, some phone numbers. I enter in parent guardian email address, which is what we're using and what you're referencing. So when we get into the problem-solving essay and the portrait of a graduate student portrait sheets, yeah, that uses the portrait of a graduate in 21st century skills, do I have to complete that at the time of the application as I'm going through?
No, it's not part of the application. It's part of the process, but not the application. So the supermajority of students will test at the test site of their choice in their jurisdiction of residency, with the exception of the City of Falls Church. So everyone else, if you live in Loudoun, you'll be testing in Loudoun. If you live in Fairfax, etc. So you will test on January 29th. For those families who have accommodations or may have need for an alternate test date, I know those requests come to you as director, and those are approved, and there aren't very many. Or if you happen to be sick on our primary test day of the 29th, then you would be required to provide a doctor's note. So we do have this alternate test day for a select number of students that will be on Friday, February 4th. That testing is held at one test site actually at TJ. And we actually, our office handles, so we get to see students, which is fun. So that takes place then. Those are the 2 dates. We do have inclement weather dates, and let's cross our fingers that we don't need those, but it is January. And so there's an inclement weather date for our primary, January 29th, that's February 5th. And then there's also an inclement weather date for our February 4th date for our accommodations. And those are all listed on our calendar, so that's all available.
Just one clarification, when you say test, you're not actually talking about an admissions exam.
No.
You're referring to
you.
the student portrait sheet, which is a series of essays and the problem-solving essay.
Correct.
So we just want to make sure that we're using
Not
that.
confusing. Yes, you're right.
And just to make sure that that's clear. Another piece in terms of a question that sometimes comes to us is, and Linda referred to the GPA and the calculations of the GPA and the honors, and I want to follow up with that just a little bit. The GPA is a core academic GPA. As Linda mentioned earlier, it's an unweighted GPA. And unweighted is on a 4.0 scale. So what we're meaning by that is you wouldn't have a GPA that's above a 4.0. An A is a 4, a B is a 3, and there's the other segments as it goes through, and those are converted if you're not in Fairfax County, if you're in another school division that might use a slightly different model with a plus systems or percentiles or percentage ranks and things of that nature. We do go through a conversion process. That actually is on our website as well, so that you can figure out what your grade would be for a GPA. Now, the honors requirements, this is a new piece in terms of the requirements. We have honors requirements in terms of the courses that you're enrolled in. For algebra, you need to be in an algebra honors class, and you need to be in a science honors class, and you need to be in one additional core academic honors class, either your history, social studies, civics, depending upon what your school offers in 8th grade, or your English language arts. Now, for those of you that are in schools that are not like what we offer here in Fairfax County, we have honors in all of those in all of our schools. But your school might not have an honors class or an honors opportunity for you to take. Or it could be called something different. It might not be called honors. It might be called something different at your school. And so we work with your school to identify what those classes are, and we will provide more information, but we want to make sure that you understand that while those are requirements that we have for our students, we also recognize that some schools might not have the same course offerings, and as long as you're in the highest academic available at your school, that meets that requirement as we move forward that process. Finally, what we want to say is, we want to make sure that if you have additional questions, if there are questions that were raised for you as we went through this presentation and we shared information, and certainly we didn't share everything, there's a lot more, but it might be a specific question that you have. Primary point of contact certainly would be the counselor at your school. We have a liaison counselor that works with us at all of your schools. So please reach out to your school counselor and find out who that person is. But in the absence of being able to talk to that counselor, what we would like to say is reach out to us. We're really, we pride ourselves in trying to get back to you really quickly in terms of emails and phone calls. We're really here to support you through this application process. We don't want you to stumble or have a problem during the application itself. We're really here to support and help you through that process. We want to guide you through this and make sure that it's not a problem for you. And with that, Linda, thank you so much for joining me here today and sharing your wisdom and your knowledge of the process. And we wish you the very best as you consider applying. And for those of you that do apply, we wish you the best in the process as well, and we look forward to seeing you at TJ. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So that was a really encompassing video and it talked about in greater detail a lot of things that we've already shared. We're just going to highlight again the key time schedule. So today is November 11th, Veterans Day. As you can see, the last date to start an application, given that 48-hour time frame that you want to give, is Wednesday, November 17th at 4 p.m. So get your applications in before 4 p.m. November 17th. You have to then complete the submission process by Friday, November 19th at 4 p.m. And pay attention to the emails that are received. Again, the student initiates the process, parents acknowledge, and then students submit. That process has to be done, and then there's an email that is received from the counselor that it confirms that the math and the GPA have been validated. Those are really important to get your applications in early. There is not a fee to apply. And then from there, once that submission is complete, the in-person student problem solving essay is going to be happening in January 29th. All right. Then February 4th for the makeup. And then final notification is going to happen on April 29th. All right. So I welcome Ms. Karima Wesselhoff from Prince William County, and she can share some of the insights for Prince William County as well. Thank you so much.
Yep, thank you so much. That was great information. So for Prince William County, what we have done is we have created a self-paced Canvas course. So we are going to launch it shortly, and it's really to prepare for the essay and the testing afterwards. So everybody in Prince William County, follow the video, submit your application really early, get that in. And then we will release on our website, pwcs.edu/advancedacademics. And you'll have a self-enroll course link, and you'll be able to enroll and kind of walk your way through. We have contracted with some teachers to provide feedback, but you can do it at your own pace. So you can do it, if you have a few minutes on a Saturday to work on it, you can do that. And really just talking you through the same things that the video did, but giving you a real world practice. Additionally, we have created a TJ website or a Prince William County website for students who are attending to TJ. One of the things we noticed last year is that oftentimes families had questions and didn't have anywhere to go for the Prince William side of things. And so that website is available. And then hopefully, as you guys are accepted into the programs at TJ, you guys will use that for bus information and talk through how we do transportation. Prince William County does offer express bus stop transportation to students from Prince William County to Thomas Jefferson. Those stops, our main hubs are Unity Reed High School and Woodbridge High School, but there are express stops throughout the county as well, so families can have an opportunity to get there. One thing that we stress with our families is to really consider what those express stops might look like in the time that you might be on a bus. We're in Prince William, so we're a little bit further, but that time and the feedback we get from students about attending TJ and the distance they travel is really valuable. I believe we have a former, well, everybody on this call except for me currently is a former TJ alumni. But if there's some students in Prince William County who are available to talk through what their experiences are, it would be really beneficial to take advantage of those opportunities as well. So thank you guys for letting me come and talk to you, and reach out to me if you have questions.
Thank you so much. All right, so let's see here. So we welcome now to our discussion of our students and county reps and alumni panel. And really, this is an opportunity to be able to share, one, why we love TJ and our experience there, and be able to share our hopes for the students, as well as to encourage students to be able to really strive and know that they have a place at TJ, and that they are just as meritorious as anyone else, and that a different change in the admissions process does not mean anything but just a more equitable opportunity for all to be able to access it. So welcome aboard, alumni. I'll let you guys introduce yourselves.
I guess I'll go first. I am Makia Little, class of 2000 and current, and when I was a student, Prince William County resident.
I think I introduced myself already, but Malaika Dai, class of 2007. And I'll add that I used to be a Fairfax County resident. I grew up about 5 minutes from TJ, so always been on my mind.
Hi, I'm Lauren. I am a class of 2000 alum, and also I resided in McLean, Virginia formerly, and I am happy to join you guys today.
Wonderful. Thank you all for being part of this. Also, we have Miss Hold on one second. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. So number one thing, like, obviously there's been changes with the admissions process. What would you say is something that is a fond memory of yours about TJ, and something that you'd love for students to share as well, you know, in their experience by applying first? I'll let anyone answer. Let's go with Lauren. Go ahead. Tell me, what's a fond memory that you had back in the day at TJ, and something that you feel would be a great thing to share to inspire kids to also apply?
All right. I will also share, as well as being a TJ alum, I'm a former teacher in Fairfax County. So I've seen a lot of students go through this process and decide whether TJ is right for them. Should they apply? We have TJ, but we also have tremendous base schools at Fairfax County. So it really is a choice for students. I would say, from what I tell students, I enjoyed the most from TJ was my peers. At the time, you know, Makia and I, our class was very diverse. We had a cast of characters, and people were talented. They had different strengths. They came from different parts of the county, all over Northern Virginia. You really got to meet different groups of people, and just friends that have lasted a lifetime and really just exposed us to different things. So.
And since we are going with the class of 2000 for now, I would say one of my most fond memories was actually establishing the first STEP team at TJ. We, because we did have a very diverse class, we got together and spun off a group of Black Student Union students. We identified a coach, and we started actually competing in local area STEP competitions. So I'll never forget the look on the students' faces from Herndon High School when they saw that TJ actually had a STEP team and we were good. So that was absolutely one of my fondest memories.
Yeah, they were good. And our friends were good at sports. They were good at theater. They were good, I mean, across the board. Yes, we were interested in STEM. We were good students, but there was also a space for everybody to shine in their own way and bring their talents to the table. So I hope that the TJ students today and the incoming TJ students get that experience as well, of learning from their classmates and really appreciating all they have to offer.
Yeah, just to echo what Lauren said, I think, and I know the classes have gotten bigger over time, but I always felt like my class overall was pretty close knit. Like I think I knew not every single student, but most of the students in my class. It was always easy to approach people, even though people came, from all over different counties or from different backgrounds. And I felt like I still see a lot of people hanging out with their high school friends on social media and everything. I have weekly calls with my best friends from high school and still see them all the time. So definitely, although there's a lot of studying, the social aspect was also very strong at TJ. So I really appreciated that.
And what about you?
So honestly, for me, first of all, I learned about TJ through a program called Visions, which is a program funded through a private grant. The issue of the diversity at TJ and the underrepresentation was something that existed for a long time. And when I learned about this program, it was geared specifically for Black, Latinx, low-income, and Indigenous youth. And I was the Latinx, Indigenous, low-income youth. I was one of the free and reduced price lunch students. But what I most remember is the camaraderie that I established with my friends, which is such a diverse set of friends growing up in the bus. And we played card games, we joked. It was just a lot of fun. And I also, I do want to say that, like, I'm so proud of what TJ is evolving. The class of 2025 is historic in over 10 years, we had students from every middle school. And actually in our region, where we have our region, if you encompass like Prince William, all of those feeder regions, we have over 30% low-income students. 30, that doesn't mean that anything wrong, but it's just a fact and reality. But TJ's class of 2025 had over, I believe, 25% low-income students, which to me is incredible. And it just shows that talent and ability is everywhere, right? It was just a different manner in which we wanted to take into account how those different talents can be demonstrated. So I encourage all students, all applicants to don't think, am I the typical TJ student, right? Just think, am I interested in science and math? And then also know that even when you graduate, it doesn't necessarily mean you'll end up in science and math. We have alumni who are actors, actresses. We have alumni who are comedians. We have alumni who are writers, and news anchors or reporters. We have alumni who are stay-at-home parents. Nothing wrong with that either, right? We have different skills. We have teachers, programmers, entrepreneurs, founders of companies, and it takes a lot of different skills. So I really like how the portrait of a graduate is really seeking to kind of identify these unique 21st century traits in our class. But actually, I'm going to pause my speaking because I tend to speak a lot. And welcome Miss Nadia Williams, and I believe she is
Nadia is actually on the bus, so please forgive her background noise in advance. But she is a member of the historic class of 2025. She was recently featured in Northern Virginia Magazine. I'll drop that link in the chat for everyone. And we are excited to have her. Nadia, would you like to introduce yourself a little further and let us know your most fond TJ memory to date?
So yeah, my name's Nadia Williams. I'm 14 and I'm in the 9th grade. So actually, fond TJ memory that I have is being on the volleyball team at TJ. It was pretty memorable. Also, it was a little difficult to manage my time between my schoolwork and then had late practices from 6:30 to 8:30, and then getting home like really late, like 9:30, and having to finish up any homework I haven't done yet. It was a little difficult, but it really did set me a standard around a community that I really enjoyed, and it gave me some friends to sit with lunch at and get to know some upperclassmen to talk about how TJ runs and how I can become versatile at being a good volleyball player and managing my time there, and also putting in work and more than enough effort for all of my classes.
That's awesome. So welcome again. Thanks so much for being available and going above and beyond. You're on the bus. You're live and direct, sharing your experiences with the student audience of applicants, hopefuls, people who want to hear from you and what your experience has been like. So thankful for it. I want to ask you just, how did you hear about TJ? And also, can you tell us how the application process worked out for you last year? Just because you're one of the few people who went through this whole new process. What was your feeling like? Were there things that you thought, oh, watch out for that, I'm glad I caught that? Or was it like, oh, that was easy? Whatever impressions you had, we'd love to hear from you. Firsthand experience. You are a woman on the ground. You knew exactly what was going on. So thank you. Please share.
Yeah, so I had actually heard about TJ from my mom telling me about it. She was like, I really think that this would be a good opportunity for you to go and meet all of these people, network around, and things like that. Even if you don't get it, it'll just be like a great experience trying to apply. So I applied, and I actually didn't think I was going to get in because the test was pretty hard. We had to write a math essay. So they gave us a math problem, and we're like, so blah, 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 and then write about your thought process and how you're going to do it. So I waited till like the last minute to answer because I didn't even know how to answer the math problem, which was a pretty good difficult problem. And I was like, Mom, I don't feel too confident about getting in. I don't know if I'm gonna get in, so we should probably prep for going to my high school that I wanted to go to, because I knew I got accepted into that one. That high school was Osborne Park. So I prepped for that one. I got all ready, and I was actually in North Carolina visiting my grandma when my mom was like, hey, you need to make sure that you can get your login and stuff so you can check if you've gotten in or not. And I was like, okay, I was pretty nervous because even though I wasn't like fully prepared on going to TJ, I was still kind of nervous for whether I was going to get in or not. So I went and I checked it, and the biggest smile just flew across my face when I saw that I'd gotten in. And I was like, oh my God, Mom, I got in. And I was just so excited and everything. And it was like overcoming an obstacle basically, because I wasn't expecting to get in based on what I answered in the test. My mom had explained to me, she was like, although you have not been the greatest answer on the planet, they were looking to see your thought process, and then they're also going to check your other essays, what roles you've had in middle school, elementary school, and outside of school as well in your community. So yeah, all those things combined together is what brought me here.
Wonderful. Well, I'm so glad that you've given that unique perspective of the fact that, number one, it's not about whether you get the problem solving essay right or not, right? But it was about being able to explain your thought process. And so kind of that takes off some of the edge of feeling, am I going to know what the problem is, or some of that worry that potentially could get introduced. So that's really nice. Now you are on the bus. So that right there is confirmation that Prince William County does provide the public transportation to the school, right? That is, because that's a big obstacle. People worry, how am I going to get to school? How long is that bus ride?
Well, for me, it's about an hour and a half, because we go to a school and then we drop some kids off. Then we go to another school, and I hop on another bus that takes me to a middle school. It's near my house, and that commutes about an hour and 30 minutes because we do travel on the highway as well.
So, I mean, just to add some context, I think that definitely sounds like a lot, right? And it sounds like a big thing, but it's definitely something that I'm guessing you do homework sometimes on the bus. Sometimes you just relax, maybe even take a nap, which is all good things. It's a great thing about not driving. But locally, my son's in their school, even though it's 3.5 miles away, it's a 45-minute bus commitment anyways. So it's not so much more.
They're just long. Yeah, I definitely do read on the bus a lot.
And now you mentioned you are playing volleyball. How is that? And how has that worked out with living in Prince William County as well?
So, like I said, volleyball was like a really big commitment, and my mom definitely had a couple conversations with me asking me, hey, is volleyball going to be too much for you? You have late practice. Are you going to be able to complete all your work and get everything turned in to be the best of your ability? And I told her, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do it. Even though I did accomplish it, it was difficult. So if you are doing sports, you want to make sure that your time management, it will come eventually, because I know living in Prince William County, I never got as much homework. Also being in middle school and transitioning to high school, it is a very big difference. So if you are wanting to commit to a sport, you want to make sure that you're going to have your priorities straight. If you have to miss practice for a day because you haven't studied for a big test that's going to be the next day, then do that. I definitely had to take practice off maybe 1 or 2 days just to recollect to myself and make sure that I was ready for school. School is always going to come before sport. So yes, and also the commute wasn't too bad. I mean, after practice, I was always pretty tired. So having that little ride back home gave me time to take a quick nap so that I could go home and finish any homework that I had to do without feeling super exhausted and not being able to think straight because I was so tired.
Awesome. Now, also, sometimes students or parents ask, well, I'm not gonna know anyone at TJ. How hard is it? I'm gonna have to make friends again. How was that experience for you? That transition into going to a whole new school, whole new county. How's that been for you?
So volleyball definitely helped me gain some friends, and stemming from that, you have 3 classes. These are called IBET, so it's integrated. I'm actually not sure. I'm not sure what it stands for, but it's biology, design, and tech. So your tech class, and it's also English. So those 3 classes you have with the same people, and that's really where my friends stem from. So I met a couple of friends that I knew, some people from my county that are in my class too. And that's honestly where my friends stem from. And then since COVID and being in the house for so long, it was kind of difficult to make friends, but it is doable. And you kind of just have to put yourself out there, or like even just being like, hey, this homework assignment's coming up, do you want to work on it with me? That can help build relationships as well. So yeah.
Nice. Now also, volleyball has been a key facilitator both to make new friends, giving you some additional thing to do. Do you have to take a separate bus, or how does that work out living in Prince William County? Or is it that your parents, or do you end up coordinating rides with other students? How is that working out for you?
So yeah, with doing a sport, my mom also had to commit time to come and pick me up every day. And also, since volleyball is a fall sport, it starts before the actual school starts. So I was there a month before school, every day practicing to get ready for this upcoming season. That's why I said if you're wanting to do like a fall sport, especially, you need to make sure that you have that time commitment down, and your parents as well. If your parents
We might be having a little bit of technical difficulties, but we appreciate the fact that she is on and sharing her experience live from the bus.
And while we're waiting for her signal to improve, I'd actually like to throw some of the same questions to Lauren and Malika. Lauren, if I remember correctly, you played field hockey. So what was your schedule like as a field hockey player at TJ?
So I actually played softball. I never played field hockey, but I did. And I remember that, and I want Nadia to confirm this, that there are late buses that go from TJ after practice to different schools closer to your neighborhood. So I remember, running from the practice field up to the main building to jump on that bus. But like Nadia said, it is a commitment from families as well, if you want to play a sport or any after school activity, because I remember working it out with my parents and figuring out the schedules. Also, what's interesting, and Nadia can confirm this too, is when you have away games, like you are far away from school. So that's something to consider as well if you're doing a sport, that you may end up out in Potomac Falls in Loudoun County, or you may end up in Centerville, somewhere that's a little bit farther away. So coordinating with your family is really important. And I'm glad Nadia said she had talked with her mom throughout the season, about her commitment, because it's something you have to communicate with your family about.
I'm not sure if you guys can hear me again, but we actually don't have a bus that picks us up from our sports. I'm not sure if it was like a COVID protocol or something, or if we just had like really late practices, because I know I practice from 6:30 to 8:30 like every single day. So I think that may be a factor, but I don't know that we have any sports buses that bring us to and from.
Yes, so Prince William County does not offer activity buses out of Fairfax or out of TJ back here, so just our regular bus.
Yeah, that's good to know, to plan ahead, right?
Malika, were there any activities you participated in that posed any kind of transportation concerns for you? I know transportation seems to be like the #1 frequently asked questions by families who are considering TJ experience. So I want to make sure that we thoroughly covered that point.
Yeah, so I played lacrosse all 4 years of high school, which I don't think many people anticipate me pointing out. But for me, day-to-day practice was a little easier because I was pretty close to the school. But I think Lauren brought up a good point. Then if we had a game in like Herndon, I had to go all the way back out there and then would have to take the bus back and then have, one of my parents pick me up. So it definitely is challenging logistically. But I think also to what Nadia was getting to, it's probably also one of the top experiences I had in terms of just being on a team and getting really close knit with my teammates over time. So definitely something that's worth it if you are able to fit it into your schedule and manage to make the time commitment.
And I'm just going to add that at least for Fairfax County's public school students or people who reside in Fairfax County, there is also a Fairfax County student bus pass that allows for students to be able to use the Fairfax County connector at no charge. If you're a student, you just have to enroll it with your counselor. I'll put the link in the chat, but I just want to highlight that because that's definitely a solution that could help mitigate some of this need for students. I do know there's a bus line that's right off of right near the school, and that'll go towards the metro stations as well. So that could kind of help a little bit. Just want to encourage that. But back to Nadia, I wanted to ask you, so the academic experience, how's that transition been from middle school to TJ? The IBET, which I actually looked up myself because I did not recall what it stood for, is integrated. Hold on, I got it over here somewhere. Well, I'll come back to it. But anyways, how has that experience been for you? Maybe what electives are you taking? What are other electives that your friends may be taking? And what have you learned thus far as a 9th grader at TJ?
So the transition was definitely hard. I walked into TJ and I walked into my Spanish class actually. I take Spanish 2 this year. And she started speaking in like full Spanish sentences. And I was like really surprised by this. I was like thinking that we were gonna walk in, like take a leaf off of where we left Spanish 1. But I don't think I got the full experience that I should have gotten because I just don't think that I had the best teacher I could have had. So that I think that's what happened there. But so yeah, when I walked in, I was like, wow, she's like speaking in full Spanish sentences. And I had to talk with my mom. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to stay in Spanish 2. And I was like, I may need to move down to Spanish 1. And she was like, well, maybe talk to your teacher about it and see what she thinks. So I talked with my teacher, and I think this was after I had taken my first Spanish test. It was actually a quiz. It was on like the maths and things like that. And I had absolutely flunked it. I didn't understand the format of the questions. I was like, what are they even asking me? I think I even ran out of time at the end. It was just a lot to put on me that I didn't understand. So I went to talk to my teacher and I was like, hey, I just saw that I failed this quiz and it did bring my grades down a lot. I'm not sure if I should stay here and let my grade go down even more. And then we actually talked over the course of a couple of days. And she was like, well, let me see how you're doing. Because right now, you're doing pretty well in my eyes. I see your progression so far. And I was like, wow, she's like, I'm actually progressing. That was like a really big thing that made me keep going. And she was like, the main thing that she said to me was, how do you feel about it? Because I was like looking up to her, asking her like, do you think that I should leave Spanish 2 and go to Spanish 1? And she told me straight, like she was like, if you think that you aren't going to excel in Spanish 2, then don't do it. if you think that you'll be better off in Spanish 1, then go ahead and take that risk. But she actually called my mom, and my mom had told me, she was like, the Spanish teacher called me, which I was really surprised to hear. She had taken the time out of her day to call my mom and let her know that she thought I was good enough for Spanish 2 and that I could keep pushing. And if I put in the time, put in the effort and the work, that I would be able to get my grade up. And I think I started from like an F in Spanish. Like my grade was really, really low. And now I have a B on my report card because I put in the time, I put in the work and everything. And it was difficult, but I am still progressing and going farther up.
That's awesome to hear. And I'll tell you, even though I am from a Spanish-speaking country, I grew up to the age of 9. I also took Spanish in high school at TJ, but I went straight to Spanish 3. But like my first interim report card was a D+, because I just I never had studied. So I can totally relate with, pushing through, having that support from the teacher. I'm really glad to hear that the teacher is really trying to empower you as a student to think through your decisions. But more than anything, the fact that you are persevering, that's wonderful to hear. Have you thought about or begun to think about like what your next 4 years at TJ are going to look like in terms of the senior tech project, or anything that stands in your mind, or what have you heard about it?
Yeah, so I actually am thinking about pursuing nanotechnology. It's something that I was exposed to in 7th grade when we started looking at jobs and things like that. And I came across nanotech and I was like, this seems really cool. I really want to do this. And yeah, so they actually have a nanotechnology club at TJ, and I go to that every Friday when they have it. And it's been really good so far. And I'm really starting to get in depth with it and love it.
That's awesome. Thank you. So I really appreciate your time. I want to let you also rest some on the bus, but we're going to do with a final question that everyone can also quickly answer. Why should a student apply to go to TJ? And Nadia, we'll let you have the last word. I'll say first, I would say for me, a student should apply because they are interested in science or math, and they believe that they, through their own unique, diverse experience, have something that they can bring and add forth. And I think that all students should have that opportunity. So I encourage everyone to apply.
I'll take a stab next. I would say, and I had this conversation with my own kids who are kind of approaching that TJ eligibility age. If you're, number one, passionate about STEM, you enjoy something related to the STEM field, and you also enjoy a challenge, be it a puzzle, be it a problem solving, just makes you excited. That is what I would say, that no one has to push you. You are the one driving yourself in your own interest. If that is you, you should consider applying to TJ.
I would say you should consider applying to TJ if you are, like Makia said, interested in STEM, but also a risk taker. You're not afraid of new challenges. You're not afraid of new things. And you have the confidence to do that. Put yourself in situations where, like Nadia said, you may not know friends in your classes. You may be taking a course that's really challenging, but you're up to persevering, and that's not, that all defines you. You have a lot going for you, and you're okay kind of stepping out of the box.
Yeah, I was gonna kind of say what Lauren said in terms of, if you're not afraid of a challenge and you're looking to have the opportunity to try a lot of new things, and I think TJ is a great place. And also, I would say, even if you're still on the fence, I would go ahead and at least apply. You'll still have time to make a decision, because I know, like, my mom kind of pushed me to apply, and I was like, whatever. But it ended up working out really well for me, and I'm definitely glad that she gave me that little push to at least apply and then start to learn more about the school and end up having a great 4 years. So.
Yeah, I would definitely say if you are a go-getter and you are a very determined person, go ahead and apply to TJ. At first, I wasn't really sure if I should apply. I was like, Mom, I think I'm still on the fence about it, and I don't know how I would feel about going to TJ. And she let me have it straight. She was like, if you apply and you don't get in, then you don't get in. That was not what you were meant to do. But if you do get in, then that's a great opportunity for you to go and meet all these good people and show everyone that you can do it. So yeah.
Well, awesome. Again, Nadia, thank you so much. Kudos goes to you on the bus, live and reporting, giving us your firsthand experience. We really appreciate it. Thank you to TJAC. Thank you to PwC as Prince William County Schools. Thank you for the TJ Admissions for the video that they provided. It's available to the whole public, and thank you for everybody. Our focus is, again, in encouraging everyone to give it a shot. Don't tell yourself no until you've explored that opportunity. And if you do say no, that's also a valuable message to potentially say, why not? Let TJ Admissions know why they couldn't win potentially your entrance. But I encourage everybody to apply. We're so happy for the historic changes that are happening, and we look forward to continuing that progress in our school and welcoming more families, more kids, and enriching our diverse community here. Thank you so much, everyone. We'll appreciate it. Final words, Makia, as president?
No, just to foot stomp what you said. Thank you to everyone who contributed to this presentation, including TJ Admissions, and we just hope to continue to be partners in the community for any students interested in STEM education, whether you choose TJ or not. So thank you again, Nadia, for your flexibility and your willingness to contribute to this conversation.
Thank you.
And with that, you all have a good afternoon, and thanks so much. Happy Veterans Day, everyone. Thank you for any veteran that you know. Thank you.